Good morning, everybody. This is the day 9 of the packet, and this is the figurative language page. You are going to need your textbook, page 323, because this is a comprehension task, and I wanted to go over some things before we started. So let's go over the use of figurative language first. Authors use figurative language to compare, exaggerate, or mean something different from what the reader would expect. Idioms, or phrases that mean something different from what the individual words mean, are one type of figurative language. Authors may also use descriptive language and sensory words to appeal to readers' senses. These vivid details help readers picture what is happening in the text. Okay, those are really bad definitions of what figurative language means. Figurative language is language that puts pictures in your head. That's really what it does. When they say descriptive language, they're saying what words paint a picture in your head. It could be descriptive words like color, blue, red, green, or it could be temperature, hot. Could be how it feels under your hand. Is it hard? Is it soft? Sensory words are very, very closely aligned with this. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you touch? Idioms are a bit weirder, okay? So let's take a look at idioms. Idioms are basically these sayings that have nothing to do with what they're talking about. We say them all the time. They're close to cliches, I think. So we have idioms like raining cats and dogs. What do cats and dogs have to do with rain? I don't know. I don't know where this came from either. But we tend to say it. It's raining cats and dogs. Idioms are things that do not translate word for word. All languages have these weird little sayings that other languages go, what? In French, if you want to say, like we would say sweetheart or darling or something like that, you would say sweetheart or darling. Honey, maybe. But in French, they say mon petit chou, which means, translated directly, my little cabbage. But it's an endearment, and it means something in French that gets completely lost when you translate it into English. This is the same idea. If you tried to translate these directly into another language, they would make absolutely no good sense. So a couple examples of this are raining cats and dogs, stuffed to the gills, cross your fingers, meaning you're hoping that for good luck, get cold feet, which means you're nervous, have a change of heart, which means you've changed your mind or your desires or wishes have changed. It cost an arm and a leg. Are you really leaving body parts all over the store? I don't think so, but that's an idiom that we have. It cost an arm and a leg. See, it puts a picture in your head, right? That something was really expensive. I'm all ears. Now picture yourself covered in ears. Now there's something that you really don't want to have happen. So I'm all ears simply means you're listening. So you want to be aware of how idioms, the words, have very little to do with what they really mean. And all languages do this, and they all have these weird little sayings that native speakers understand, but if you were trying to translate them, forget it. They would make no sense. So think about some idioms that maybe your family uses, some little quirky sayings. They might be idioms. Okay, so think about what you're doing there. So I hope that's a better explanation of figurative language. All right, so let's look at the question number 1. It says, reread paragraph 5 in The Beatles Were Fab, and then answer the question below. All right, so paragraph 5 is on page 323. So this is paragraph 5. So I'm only going to read this paragraph because that is what they told me to do. Okay. In their early days, the Beatles performed for hours and hours in hundreds and hundreds of shows around England and Germany. It was exhausting and paid next to nothing. Anxious to have a record of their very own, the Beatles were afraid the band was going nowhere. They used silliness to help keep their spirits up. John would shout, "Where are we going, lads?" All right, so I'm going to stop right there because that is paragraph 5. All right, so let's look at this question. How do the authors use figurative language in paragraph 5? So let's talk about that. We said that figurative language was language that put a picture in your head or made you use your senses or was some weird little piece of language that means something to us as native English speakers, but might not translate. All right, so let's think about this. The authors use idioms. Okay, and now see, I changed that from figurative language to idioms to draw the reader into the text. That's what idioms and other types of figurative language do. Examples of idioms are going nowhere and keep their spirits up. So I kind of gave you the answer here. You might want to go back, though, and look at paragraph 5 and see, is there another thing, another little piece of maybe an idiom or figurative language that you might find? So this is one answer. There is another one if you want to go find it. All right, now reread paragraph 26 to identify the author's use of figurative language and sensory words. Then answer the questions. That paragraph 26 is on page 330, so you're going to need to go to 330. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, paragraph 26. The Beatlemania roller coaster reached dizzying heights during the 1964 tour. Fans screamed in the Hollywood Bowl, an outdoor stage under the stars. In Denver's Red Rocks Amphitheater, the music echoing off cliffs of red and orange. In Philadelphia's Convention Hall, in a city filled with history. At the Indiana State Fair, amid the sound and smell of farm animals. And in 19 more cities, from San Francisco to New York. Okay, so right away, my brain is going to some of the uses of figurative language there. Some of the stuff that put a picture in my head. All right, so what figurative language do the authors use to describe Beatlemania during the 1964 tour? That one should have jumped at you. So go back and look at that paragraph. How we set up this answer is the piece of figurative language used to describe Beatlemania is, and then you would put it in quotes. You see how I have open quotes here, close quotes here, and then a period here. So think about that paragraph. How was Beatlemania described? Something about my favorite ride at the amusement park. Okay, number 3. What descriptive language helps you visualize the places the Beatles played during their concerts? I'm going to give you a bit of help here. Okay, the descriptive language that helps me to visualize the places the Beatles played are, notice how I'm opening up the quotes, music echoing off cliffs of red and orange. I put that in a close the quotes, then semicolon. The sound and smell of farm animals. And I close my quotes, put a semicolon. And there's one more. See if you can go find it. Okay? Good luck.